Matt Jackson, sports talk show host at Sports Talk 790 here in Houston. Matt and I have known each other for quite some time. He's a devoted U of H and LSU follower, in addition to...
LSU by marriage. I mean, honestly, if LSU loses tomorrow, I'm not going to lose any sleep.
And he's a big fan of the USSR, apparently.
He's wearing the colors tonight.
Exactly.
You're having a pretty good year this year. We got a stat
started
up
out
there.
the
You're
Texas
you're
terror.
24-0 this year.
24-0. My season tickets for U of H and LSU, 24-0. I may not
Holy
see a
cow.
loss this year.
It's impressive.
LA
Now, you
around
guys,
again.
are you going
Can
to
you buy
the SEC
Texan season
championship
tickets?
game?
I'm not going to the SEC championship. Listen to this.
It's in Atlanta, right? It's always in Atlanta.
Nobody had a worse night than I did when LSU beat Alabama a few weeks ago. While I slept, my wife went online and bought $1,500 national championship tickets.
Well, by the
where
way,
are they
this
on-
is a paying gig, right?
Where are they on the field?
As Chris Rock once said, I don't endorse murder, but I understand it.
You can understand. Yeah. Seriously, is it a luxury box? Or?
That's a hell of an impulse
You
buy.
know what they're going for now? $3,500. So I told her right now, because my father-in-law said LSU season tickets forever. I said, look, if he wins lottery on the tickets, we're selling these. There's no doubt. I don't even want to go. She's like, well, you're going. I was like, well, no. I was like,
Where is it this year?
it's in the Sugar Bowl.
Jesus. That's unbelievable. So Alabama's going to have to go to...
That's where every time it's at the Sugar Bowl, LSU's there. Every time it's there, LSU's
You're right.
there.
04,
I'm,
right?
I'm glad you guys brought that up, because I wanted to get into the BCS title talk as we see if the Giants can answer the Saints score here. BCS title game, it's looking like LSU, Alabama. Am I the only one that's like, okay, respect for the SEC, but I've already seen that game. I don't want to see it again.
I'm with you in the sense of, let's see if but there's no other good matchup. There really isn't. I mean, there's no other team that's even. I would be totally with you if Oregon was a one-loss team and hadn't played LSU yet, or USC was in it, or whoever. But the fact that, I mean, there's nobody even close. Everyone's got 2 losses except Stanford, and
Oklahoma State's only got 1 loss.
Oklahoma State's going to get drilled.
They would
may
get
have
drilled
2
by
losses
Yeah,
after this
they're
weekend.
still got to play Oklahoma and maybe in the Big 12 game. So I think the jury's still out on that one yet still. But even if they do, Oklahoma State would get drilled by them.
They
Well,
would.
I understand both sides of the argument. Saban himself said when he was at LSU, if you don't win your conference championship,
sure did.
you shouldn't be in the BCS Bowl. But I also
Let
understand
alone win your division.
Right, but I also understand the other side of the argument where if you are the 2 best college football programs in the land, which I think they are.
I don't even think it's close. To
Yeah,
me.
I don't
That's
either.
the thing is, if there was another year where even if you could make an argument for somebody else, you could make an argument. You could say, okay, this team's got a legit shot, or it would be worth seeing if this team could knock them, like an Oregon or someone like that. There's not, like I said, there's not even close. I mean, don't talk to me about Virginia Tech. Do not.
Yeah,
I
not
agree.
with that
I
record.
agree,
Don't bring up Virginia
I agree
Tech.
that Alabama is probably better than Oklahoma State, but
Probably.
Easily.
Easily.
right.
Don't
but,
act
but
like
hold on a
LSU.
second.
They've already
What
played.
are
Don't act like
Alabama-
LSU
hold
marched
on a
into
second. Hold on a
Tuscaloosa and
second.
put up 42.
LSU
What
won
are,
by
yeah, but
field
what are
goal in
Alabama's
overtime.
3 best wins?
Arkansas.
I don't watch Alabama.
Here are their
Killed
quote-unquote 3
Arkansas.
best wins. Killed Arkansas, who, no offense, kind of a fraud this year. They got killed by LSU. They got killed by Alabama. They barely beat Ole Miss. They
What the
barely
hell do
beat.
you mean kind of a fraud? Oh, no.
But they're not. They certainly were not the 3rd team in the country. They weren't.
10-2
State-
played an SEC
Penn-
schedule. Now, if you want me to
SEC
start
is-
throwing out some U of
But the
H
SEC
teams that
is
you
down
guys are
this year.
12-0 against.
But the SEC is so down this year.
Well, where would U of H rank in the SEC this year?
They would
Right
probably.
above
But
Vanderbilt?
we're not talking about U of H. I haven't mentioned U of H for the
No,
title
but you
yet.
mentioned Arkansas.
Dropped
and
the
that brought me
Arkansas
up.
reference.
Well, I know,
No,
but
Arkansas is a top 10 team. They're just
sure
like
they
the
are.
3rd team.
But all right, here are their best wins. Penn State, who's garbage this year. Honestly, they have 2 losses, but that's a bad team. And what? A 7-5 Auburn team.
But I don't. But there's not any doubt in my mind that Arkansas beats West Virginia at West Virginia, beats Oregon.
But they weren't on their schedule, and Oklahoma State has 5 wins over top 25 teams.
Oh, I think Oklahoma State's loss was a fluke. I mean, they could very easily be
They're
undefeated.
the team
not
of all of them that deserve another shot. I mean, the problem, if you have
Let's just
Arkansas
see if
and
they beat
LSU
Oklahoma first.
Right,
That's the
right.
thing.
And I think they will.
Let's see if they beat Oklahoma first.
it's a home game, right?
It's a home game.
Right.
Oklahoma's not the same team since they've lost Dominic Whaley and Ryan Broyles. They're not the same team. They still have two really good receivers. I think their quarterback's overrated. Their defense is pretty good, but their secondary can be had. I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibilities that Oklahoma State wins that game by 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Take that bet.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Allegedly, if we were to be betting, I would take that. Just so you're giving me Oklahoma in 21.
LSU went into Alabama and won there. You're going to have a rematch on a neutral site, which is really going to be, it may be neutral if it's LSU and Alabama in New Orleans. But you have these two teams playing again. You're going to give the national championship to the winner of the second game if Alabama wins. I mean,
Right.
Well, the other thing that's so screwed about the BCS,
series.
Alabama gets to sit back and watch LSU have to play Georgia first,
they
so
were
they get
rooting for
punished.
LSU to beat Arkansas,
Right.
so LSU has to play an extra game.
And even though LSU can lose and still go, what about injuries? What about injuries?
Well, do you think that, though? Do you think if LSU do you think it matters if LSU wins this game or not?
I don't. There's already precedent. Oklahoma got rolled 35-7 by Kansas State back in 2004, and they still played LSU for the national championship, and they got rolled, but they were undefeated, played the Big 12 championship, got destroyed 35-7, still played for the national championship.
That's true.
And-
Same thing with Nebraska.
Oh, Nebraska was worse to me.
Yeah,
Don't you hate
2000.
these guys that have facts to back up their argument?
I just and
Like a bunch of lawyers.
Hate when that happens.
a bunch of lawyers.
I
just-
get in front of the judge and BS and hope he doesn't catch me.
And here's the other thing too is, and again, I think LSU's going to roll Georgia, so I don't even think it matters could they lose the game, whatever. But if you're LSU, I mean, you already beat Alabama once. I know there isn't another team, but if this was a playoff, that'd be one thing. But Alabama already had their shot at LSU, and
The only way I would go with that is saying that, I would say, okay, LSU won by a field goal in overtime, but the fact that they went into Tuscaloosa and did that, which is a very tough place to
Absolutely.
play.
That to
Listen,
me earns them not having to play.
Like I said, if there was anybody else that I thought was remotely in the same,
And Oklahoma State's not that team?
they're brutal.
I like to see
think
USC play them.
USC now. I mean, that's the thing,
Right.
and that's the cool thing about a playoff because you remember USC this year and USC back in what was it, 2002, one of Carroll's first years there. Remember they started off 2-2.
oh, the year they beat Iowa. in the
I think it was
Orange Bowl.
Carson Palmer's
Yeah, Carson
Heisman
Palmer.
year. Same way. I mean, you have a playoff. They were one of the best teams in the nation.
It's who's hot at the end of the year, yeah.
And I don't know. There's a lot of teams that would want to play USC right now.
No, they're red hot. Matt Barkley's not getting any run for the Heisman.
They're
We didn't even mention
killing
it.
people.
He's playing
Killing them.
fantastic football.
Killing people.